Dan, are you going to do it this time, or do you want me to
do it
do
this
it?
time?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do it. You like doing it so much last time.
You got to give him a second to filter in first. You ready?
Yeah, yeah.
Dean, you ready? You sure?
Go for launch.
Hello, you golfing legends. We are live.
Welcome aboard THP Universe. Wait, I'm
Oh, we
getting.
got full echo.
I got full echo. Hold on.
What did you just do?
I fixed it. Welcome aboard THP Universe. If you're here to watch me get off my mark, it's already happened 42 seconds in, and Dan has not even said a word to me yet. But we are live. We're about to get clocked in, talk about Quest Cup. But before we get there, before we talk about all the things related to Quest Cup with Edel Golf, we have a special guest live from Ballyhack, the Dean of THP.
Howdy, boys.
D-Deck
How are we?
is here. Yeah, so give us a little bit of an update. I mean, obviously it went really well. I just put the scores up on the bottom of the screen. It went really well for the home team today, first and fun. Y'all posted 11 under. Talk to us about how the day went for y'all.
Yeah, for us, we really, I mean, it's cliche, we really ham and egged it. We used a lot of, we had a bunch of good drives and hit some good approaches. Had some pretty awesome shots, had some nasty ones too, but overall, couldn't be happier with our score, obviously.
Yeah, y'all did have a little bit of a rain delay today, and had to postpone alternate shot. Do you think that helped or hurt y'all?
Double-edged sword, because we feel like we excel at alt shot. We think that that's really the format that would be our separator and play out in our favor the most. But the good side of it is that it's less swings for Josh, and like you want to call it the people's elbow. We don't have to worry as much about that. So it keeps that everybody is. You can see the scores tomorrow is combined shamble. Everybody is still basically in it. It would have been nice if we could have got alt shot in for us for a little bit more pad, because we don't know what's going to come out of our group tomorrow.
So you discussed the most electrifying elbow in the THP universe, the people's elbow, Josh's elbow. How did it hold up today? Like, it looked like you were making a lot of the scoring. No offense to Josh, but I mean, we saw multiple videos of you sinking putts to get into red numbers. What can we expect from Josh tomorrow? We did see some X's on the scorecard. I'm not quite sure whether or not that was because you were already in really good position and he knew that y'all were going to take his score, or is he hurt?
So, yesterday I did not think he was going to play. We started off doing some little chip shots and tried to hit a few wedges. And I won't lie, it wasn't good. I know people look at the score and they're like, yeah, you guys are all just, playing it up. It really wasn't. I woke up this morning not thinking that, he was going to put the tee in the ground. But took some meds, started off really good. Front nine, it really didn't bother him as much as it looked like it was going to. The back nine was a little more rough for him. Thankfully, not to pat myself on the back, but thankfully for him, he was able to take off a few holes and not have to hit many shots. So if I hit a good drive, we would just say, don't worry about it. Don't try to hit another one. Same thing if hit a good approach, we really didn't try to waste him. So we try to keep his arm as fresh as possible, and hopefully tomorrow, with the rain out, that's going to help us with the health issue, and hopefully tomorrow we can get it done.
Y'all did play a couple of holes in alternate shot, and we're only one over in those holes. So obviously Josh was able to make some swings there. We're looking forward to following along tomorrow. Dan or Scoob, do you have anything to ask Dean about his phenomenal performance today?
Or just life in general?
Hats off, but how are you going to hold off my pick, smoked charcuterie, sitting there right on your tail tomorrow?
Oh, you know what? Those guys are playing really well. They're playing really well. I think if I was to pick a team to watch tomorrow, they're the ones. They're the ones I'm looking at. Like, not that I'm going to look in the rearview mirror because everything's out in front of us. We control our own destiny at that point. But yeah, they're the team to watch. I think they're going to play well tomorrow, and I think this format sets up really strongly for them. They've seen the course. Everybody has raved about the course. Even if people did not play up to their own expectations, they didn't care. They had so much fun in this layout, and that's what Ballyhack brings you. Dan, do you want to talk anime gods, or are you crushed?
I mean, listen, they are playing with house money at this point. The ultimate eraser this afternoon is looking not very favorable for them in all shot. When they said, look, we're scrapping everything, suddenly the pick is starting to look good again. I'm excited to know, Dean, you have, 12 hours to convince JB that every ball's worth walking to tomorrow, especially if it's CPO. I assume it won't be. I know Ballyhack drains really well, but I've played enough rounds to know that he's a big fan of the old product seeding concept when the ball goes a little astray.
We did some of that today.
Yeah, I know you're building them up right now. Hey, every shot counts. You stay with me.
I try to be very encouraging with him after shots. And I'm always like, you know what? Early on, I was like, the pain's going to come. It's only going to last for about 5 seconds after the shot. You'll be perfectly fine. I'll watch the ball. You drop the club, do whatever you need to do. I got this. We'll have a good shot here, a good result.
It was very nice of Ballyhack to make a drink purely for his right elbow called the painkiller.
Oh, it is very, very nice. It is very nice. As for the course, you talked about CPO. They did open the course back up around, I want to say 5 o'clock, and it was for walkers only. And oddly enough, we did see a foursome as we were getting ready to go to dinner come walking down the 12th hole with a caddy, and I was just like, oh man, I would not want to do that. However, if we were prepared to go out, thankfully there are still 4 bag boy carts in the cottage I'm in. So I would have claimed one of those. Yeah, that would have been nice.
You guys opted for a sim golf though. You have the Go Track at 18, which is an easy walk, obviously, and you have the Go Track at 13, which is the hole you're basically staying on. I guess 12 and 13. It's got to be a tough decision because the owner's cottage is a big moment for everyone, and obviously following along in the forum, we're all excited to see what you're picking in there. But at the same time, man, when you have something like that at your disposal right outside, that's got to be a tough call.
I really want to just go out there and just start hitting balls down to that shared green. I don't want to go get the balls though. That's the thing.
Any other thoughts about, like you mentioned, Smoked Aquaman, who I'm wearing their shirt? They weren't happy that I didn't wear the shirt that they sent me earlier, but they find themselves in the mix. Anybody else besides y'all to watch tomorrow? I mean,
well, I think Aquaman wants you to show a little bit more of the logo there. Maybe if you can unzip and you got to be proud about this, man.
He's wearing it, but it's covered up, folks.
Yeah,
I'm not so sure.
It just says
Wham on it. Unless he goes full Hulk Hogan on that beautiful Ballyhack zipper there. I don't know.
Aquaman feels like they are in prime position. Scott is very ready to take on the world. I think he made everybody at dinner know that. They're another. Tomorrow you're going to see a lot of big swings tomorrow.
Dean, I want to know of all the guys, is anyone admitted at this point to just being overwhelmed by Ballyhack? And it's look, I'm excited but nervous about tomorrow at this point.
I did have one person on a team that I'm not going to say his name.
I don't want names. I'm not going
to say his name.
Listen,
but they're in contention, and they were just like, yeah, we're done. And it wasn't my partner, just for the record. It wasn't my partner.
He's been saying that for a month. He's in a better spot than he thought he would be. So
I think the biggest takeaway for the guys, if they were all here, they would tell you how much they enjoyed this property. The course was in phenomenal shape. They just had, I think, a member guest or member this previous weekend, and we'll see what the rain does. Like you said, it drains pretty well here. Everybody had a good time. So that's the biggest thing. And Bag Boy's been great. I mean, you guys followed it on the forum today. You saw their crew out there. They were shooting a ton of videos. They were putting stuff on their social media sites. They were posting to the forum. They were really working. So that was to have a sponsor come out and do that kind of stuff. They had an entourage of 6 or 7 people here just trying to get as much content as possible, not only for them, but for us and for everybody that's following at home.
Well, Dean, y'all crushed it today. It's y'all's to lose. Sleep on the lead.
Yeah,
and
that's what I want to hear.
and I hope that Josh's elbow holds up to the point where y'all hoist the championship come tomorrow afternoon. So take care, and we appreciate you jumping on from Valley.
Awesome, guys. Have a good show. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Dean.
Peace out.
All right. That was live from Valley Hack. We're gonna switch our attention here. We're gonna grab our time card and clock in. Let's talk about the Quest Cup, because as the Bag Boy Championship ends, there's no rest for the weary here. I mean, Josh stays on site. He's gonna captain a team here at the Quest Cup. We opened the line. I'm going to give a brief explanation about the line, and then we'll talk about the sponsor, because I'm getting some questions about, like, I thought that would meant plus money, and there's been a lot of questions on the forum related to sportsbook. Basically, if you see the line at the bottom of the screen, it's one. If you're going to bet on Team JB, it's 1.5 to win 1. So 1.5 minus 150 basically is 1.5 coins to win 1. If you bet 1 coin on Team Blake, you get 1.2 plus whatever you bet back if your bet wins, and then and so on and so forth. If you use that sort of decimal point system, as we're going to go through every one of the matches, because you can go to the sports book and bet on any of the matches. We have the entire card, and we're going to talk about it. But this is the third such event of this Quest Cup, with Edel being the sponsor. Team JB is 2-0 in this event. Both of those events were decided, I believe, 4.5 to 3.5. I did get a clarification. If Josh's team retains, we eat 4 points, that bet will pay as a win. So there is a little bit of a defending champions advantage as we go into this, as well as the phenomenal gear that's going to be highlighted as they work around Bally Hack. Dan, you've had a lot of experience with Edel gear. Talk to me about what makes their stuff so special.
It's just a different look. It's a different idea, and it's not at the cost of, I think, one of the most critical components of this type of product, which is quality feedback and feel. I mean, that, the ability to change on the fly to suit your game as opposed to someone else's swing, I think is an awesome thing. And I think anyone giving them a try is going to be pretty surprised by the benefits they come with. Well, Scooby brought props.
Right.
Now we're talking.
Yes. Scooby, you've played in a Quest Cup and have played their gear. Talk to me what you think about Edel.
I mean, Dan hit it on the head. The feel is great, but the ability to tweak those weights, it is so real. It is mind-blowing. It works. I was looking at my stats last year with that wedge in hand and a couple others. Had my best short game and approach play ever, frankly. So the tech is real, and to package that in such a pretty package, and it's been a joy to play. I was blessed to be in it last year. Get my hands on the equipment all season. I can't speak highly enough about it.
Yeah, Josh had when the tech studio was here in Nashville, that you had. We talked a lot about the irons and the wedges, and the wedges are just beautiful. I remember spending a lot of time with the 58X grind. That probably wasn't the best for me personally, but it looked so sweet that I couldn't help but hit it almost every time that we went out or I was there. Also the putters, they have great technology related to putter fitting and all the things that go into that. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that also. This is sort of a irons, wedges, putters, full stop shop, awesome technology. Dan, I think that you've had them on your show before. The original Off Course, I want to give it a plug. It drops every Friday. It should be part of your Friday ritual, as it is mine. While I'm getting ready for work, I've turned it on, and then Leslie goes, "Is that Dan?" is that Dan's show? And I'm like, yeah, that's Dan's show. So let's talk about the course. We talked a lot about the course. If you watched the previous preview show, we talked a lot about it. We returned. We go back to back here at Ballyhack, and we saw a lot of it today if you watched along on the forum. It looks like it's playing a little easier than we initially thought. On the last show, Dan, you and I thought that 8 under would have been a great score for Shamble Best Ball. Of course, they didn't finish the alternate shot session. Dan, I know this place is. What are your thoughts?
You say all this, but like, I don't know, man. You can only look at one side of the scorecard or the leaderboard if you want to make that comment, because there was a little bit of bloodshed out there today, and I think frankly some of those dudes are lucky to sleep off the first round rather than have to go straight into that 9 holes of alt shot, which is the most unapologetic thing ever. So, yeah, I mean, there was an opportunity for the teeth to sink in. I mean, who knows? Like, I will say that First and Fun, our boys Josh and Dean, showed some real promise early out of the gate in alt shot. I was expecting, it's like at some point Ballyhack's gonna get you. It's just how badly. And they were proving that alt shot was not the place. So combined score is a real story here, I think.
There were some spots. There were some spots. 14 hurt a lot of people. 14 was brutal on a lot of these teams today. As was surprise. I love the 15th hole, but it showed some big numbers. And which one of the 2 nines, Dan, in your opinion, did you find harder? I know that you made, like 4 was your personal favorite holes, and I know that's on the front, and I love that finishing stretch of the par 3 7th, 8th, the 8th, the drivable par 4, and then the 9th hole, which is really a 3-shot hole for us mere mortals. You probably put it on in 2 on 9. Which one of the 9s did you think was the more difficult of the 2?
Okay, but 4 is unapologetic. Unless you're dropping dimes on that thing, it's an incredibly unapologetic hole, and I think that goes to the same for any hole. Like, you follow up 4, which everyone says is the hardest hole, with 5, which, I mean, if you miss even marginally on 5 on your approach, or you put your tee shot in the wrong place, then you are absolutely scrambling for an okay score, not a good score on that hole. From a 9 to 9 perspective, I wouldn't be surprised if the back 9 was easier to score on, but the front 9 was more challenging. Or less challenging, you know what I mean? Like, you can make easier pars in the front, but you can score better on the back, get more birdies. I know that's a really weird concept, but that's the way my course is. So,
yeah, I think that the front 9 is harder, but I think it's the funner of the 2 9s, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, you have the bowl on 3, and then on 4, they're telling you to aim at the house, and then you get to 5, and 5's a super cool hole, right? And then 6 you could get home. 7's a very difficult par 3, and then one of my favorite holes, 8. I love 8. You take the blind tee shot, you try to drive the green, and then 9's so picturesque, and then depending upon where the prevailing wind is, it's probably a 3-shot hole, so you're going to have to put these Edel wedges to the test on that 3rd shot, because usually it's elevated, and depending upon where they put the pin on 9, it could lead to a bigger number than you're expecting in a par 5. Scoob, you've taken a look at Ballyhack an awful lot. What are your thoughts on this place?
I mean, what's going to be fascinating to me on this one is, you mentioned the wedges and the right putters, and that's what the experience goers are going to pick up. They each got to pick a pair of wedges and a putter. And from everything I've heard, everything we saw the pictures today from Bag Boy, I mean, those green complexes are no joke. It sounds like if you miss it, you can get ugly in a hurry. But whatever these short game tools going to be able to pull off, it's going to be fun to watch and see what they can do.
You got to make putts around this place. You really do. I mean, Dean put it phenomenally today, and so did several others. You have to definitely make putts. We'll get moving along to the format, which is more traditional.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
What does that mean? I've always heard that, like, you got to make putts. Like, I get what you're saying in total, but, like, yeah, that's kind of the point of golf, isn't it? You're supposed to make putts. Is there a time when you don't got to make putts?
No, I mean, well, okay. Let me go back and say you need to, if you have missed the green, you have to be able to put it on the right level in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you're short and the pin's in the back, but there's a big false front and a ridge, you have to be able to chip and putt at this place if you miss greens, and even if you hit greens and you're not in the right position, you're bringing 3-putt into play. So I guess what I mean by making putts is like, do not cause self-inflicted wounds with poor putting.
Or poor location of first shot, or approach shots, you mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's one of the bigger stories. So I played there twice last week, and the difference between the two 18s was not a lot, but location-wise, where the pins were and where my results were from an approach perspective, I mean, there was plenty of holes in that golf course where you're lagging for birdie or lagging to make par from 10 feet. Like, you'd think it'd be opportunistic, but in many cases, you have to be really careful not to throw it away. And to your point, I think that's like closer to that idea. You got to make putts. You got to not make mistakes in a lot of places here.
And sometimes you can't get really aggressive. When I played there, I think it was the 11th. I think I had put it on the right level. The pin was in the back. Got aggressive trying to make the putt. It ran past the pin and all the way off of the green.
Well, here's one of my favorite ones on the golf course. So number 8, I think a lot of people really either love it or hate it. I love that there's a challenge in most. There have been plenty of arguments where you should never ever go left there. You should always attack the green on the right if you got enough with the big stick. But when that pin is tucked front right, the whole green slopes down from the front side. So when I was there and I hit green side, it was on the upslope right in front, like on the fringe kind of. And the pin was, I think, in the middle of the green. And even that was incredibly challenging to stop. And the greens weren't particularly firm or fast when I was there. So the idea, if they can dial them up a bit and you put them on that front pin, if you hit there and 1 to the front fringe, you are playing for par no matter what you do from there. And that's crazy to think about.
There's some sick pins out there, no doubt, and we'll see how it gets set up. I mean, they've done a really good job this week of showing us some of the pictures of some of the more difficult pin locations, and I'm sure these guys will be showing us, like, if they put that pin on the front. One of the days I played on 9, the pin was on that front shelf, and I almost put it over.
So John D is a participant. Is in the chat. You see this right here? It said, "Don't put that evil on me on the easy pins." It's not. That's not how it works, John. I'm sorry, my man.
That is not how it works. Talk to me about this format's traditional for team events. The last several events that we've talked about have been stroke play, which is kind of besides the Goat Cup. So we're back to a little bit more of a Goat Cup type of format where you get shamble best ball for 18 holes. You get a 9-hole match of alternate shot, and then on the second day you get some singles play. This has been a tried and true format for team events. Like, usually this is the type of format that we're going to see. Dan, what do you think about it? I mean, do you ever wish that they would just like throw shamble combined into the shamble portion of one of these, even though it's match play?
No, I think the kindest thing you can do for an event like this with guys who either don't regularly play competitively or haven't seen the golf course, I think the fairest thing to do is give them an opportunity to see the golf course and throw away a shot on each hole. I think that is super fair, and I'm glad it exists there.
Scooby, is there anything that you'd want to see? Like, this is traditional. Like, I mean, and then we're going to be talking down the calendar about other team events with formats. Do you like this format?
I do. Maybe it's the Ohio thing Dan and I got going on, but just that traditional format, right? No, I do.
Cut to commercial. Stop it.
Where's that mute button? No, that traditional format, that easing folks in. You can have the big miss, but you still deal with the alt shot and the singles. You get a little bit of that pressure that makes it exciting for us to follow along, coming on the back end, but not just in your face with the shamble combined.
I want to see the format that I played at the Granddaddy one year, like thrown in there, where each member of the 2-man team has to tee off and they swap tee shots. It was very interesting. It's very interesting. I've never played it since, but it was very interesting.
Why don't you just play worst ball, man? Like, who hurt you? That's what I want to know.
I mean, it was the year after you put the 1 and 9-1. So
Yeah,
I mean, I'm upset.
Changed real quick after that. Listen, Ballyhack is a lot to take in, and I understand the idea that like you can create some pretty wild experiences when you start to incorporate some of these more challenging formats. But you know what? There are so many of those holes, so many of those green complexes where it's so nice to just get a feel for it and better understand it. You know what I wish they would do? It's Ballyhack, man. It's partly a wedge event with Edel. I mean, forget alt shot. Let's do like an afternoon goat track, like bloodbath. I don't even care if you worst ball the goat track. Let's make it different. You have something so cool. Let's incorporate that into one of these things.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's a great call out. I love the goat track, by the way. I love it. So let's talk about the teams. And before we get to talk about the teams, I'd like to thank every one of the participants. There aren't any numbers in any of these forum names. So that may be one of the first things in a long time where I'm like, I don't have to like figure out what the numbers mean. And so like, I was super excited when I was throwing up the storyboard. I'm going to show Josh's team JB at the bottom of the screen. They come in. Did you like that?
Do you want me to announce the names?
No, I think I can get these. I think
like
this is going to be okay.
Uwu.
Shane. I think I can actually. I think I'm going to be able to navigate these no problem. But
okay, we'll see.
Who knows?
We'll see.
Who knows? All right. Josh's team shows up with a combined handicap of 9.8. I mean, which is about normal here. And when we get to Team Blake, it's pretty close. Everyone on Josh's team has experience. Wildcat returns from last year. Johnson 2-0 in his one appearance. John D was on my granddaddy team that got taken to the woodshed. That hurts his overall experience record at 0-3-1. He did grind out a half at that granddaddy. Hats off to him. And Josh is a 19. He's a perfect 500 in these type of spots over the course of his career. I mean, you basically get one low with Wildcat and 3 mids is the makeup of this team. So when we get to some of the pairings, it's very stocky. It's exactly what you would expected both teams to do. Scooby, I'll start with you this time. Thoughts on Team JB?
I mean, it's a solid team, like you said. You've got the experience. Running down the putter choices real quick, Wildcat went with the F1, which is kind of your spidery mallet. The F3 was John D, little half moon. And then John Sins, I could not find. I think he was holding back on what his order was. I couldn't quite find it in the threads. So hopefully we get some eye candy. But I think that experience is going to play at a course at Ballyhack that, you know, is going to take a little bit of calm, it sounds like, to score in the right spots, make the right decisions.
I mean, they have a decisive edge and experience. Dan, do you think that is even a deal anymore? Event experience?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
There's no question in my mind.
Okay. He snap called that. I thought he was going to get, well, yeah, I don't know.
No,
guys.
I've got something else I'd like to say though about
okay, go
JB,
ahead.
but I'll give you guys a moment to, settle your side of the story.
No, like I used to use it a lot when coming up with the lines and handicap it, and I have a database that tells me who people played and what their record was. But we've seen rookies show up and perform extremely well this year, especially at the Goat Cup. We saw that also at Worldwide. So I started thinking, am I over-indexing experience as I'm making the line?
What is the experience though? Is the experience 8 and 6, or is the experience something else?
I don't have the exact results, like 8 and 6, 9 and 7, whatever posted.
Listen, if their first THP event was like Victoria National in the thick rough, and they couldn't find half a dozen balls on the way through, no, I don't think experience helps at all. It's like, all right, what the hell's going to happen this time? But if you go out, you perform well, and you have a good time, you acknowledge what this is what this is supposed to be about. I think, every opportunity to do one of these improves your potential to really see it the right way, as opposed to, hold on for dear life.
What other thoughts?
One of the Team JB participants got "Don't Blade It" engraved on their wedge. Concern or not a concern?
Well,
what happened?
One of the participants engraved "Don't Blade It" on one of their wedges.
It's good feedback, honestly.
No. I think it's just a relative. I think it's just a swing thought. Like, I mean, look, like it's something that you want to remember before you go in. What other thoughts do you have on Josh's team here, Dan?
Oh yeah, let me tell you about my boy, the Wild Card, aka Wildcat.
Yeah.
Okay, so sober Wildcat puts the 3 in 3.7. Ballyhack performance enhancing lubrication fuel puts the 0.7 in 3.7. This man, he's a stick. I am going all in on this fella. He knows why. I've seen him at his worst and his best. The range session is going to be atrocious. He might take a glancing look at the putting green, and then he's just going to drop 2 Miller Lights like it's no problem, and suddenly he's going to hit the ground running. This is... you got it in the chat already. We got MTB Loco saying truth bombs are being hit right now. Listen, this guy is different. And that is their diamond in the rough, I think.
I mean, he did get Miller Lite and Coors Light stamped on his wedges to try and get in that right mindset.
Okay.
But for all
I
the
like
JB fans out there, last time I shared around with him, alt shot, he was sending that 3-iron into spaces that you would never want to put your partner in alt shot. So can he come back from that this year at Ballyhack? We're going to find out.
Are you saying that you carried JB the last time that y'all played together?
JB and I were a fine-tuned machine going to that trophy.
Did I just hear that right? Is Scooby throwing shade?
Yeah. I mean, Scooby, who knew? Like,
Buddy,
I mean,
you got to put on some neon if you're going to do that.
Let's talk about Team Blake. And oh, by the way, the person in the chat, my 2 favorite holes at Ballyhack are 8 and 14. It's the only holes outside of the goat track that I birdied while I was there.
No bias.
Well, I mean, I have fond memories. Others, not so much. Let's talk about Team Blake. They come in. Well, remember Josh's team 9.8. They come in at 10.5. So it's statistically even. A little bit less experience, as Mike and Emson are experienced rookies. I know that Emson's been to a shaft up, but when I count the records, I don't count that as a competition. And Shane's been around for a long time with a decent record of he's won 3-1. Blake hasn't lost a match in his appearances. Another team that's very similar, 1 low in Mike and then 3 mids. We're going to get to how the 2 captains sort of stack this out. But Dan, I'll start with you on this one. Thoughts on Team Blake?
I mean, you see a 2.8 and you start to wonder, right? Like, what kind of game does a 2.8 bring to Ballyhack? That's an exciting piece of that puzzle right there.
Scooby, you did some research on their selections here. I mean, what are your thoughts on them?
Shamu with the F3, the mallet, gorgeous shaping. I think that's a good call. With Imsum, I don't know his game, but he went with the B1, the new putter, the blade style. Maybe not as forgiving. Is that going to be the right call? From sitting here thinking Team Mallets hide a lot of sins. It'll be interesting. Makes me a little nervous for a 13 to be playing a blade.
Last year, Wildcat played on Team Blake, by the way.
Scooby, hold on. What? It's called a fitting, my friend. You get fit into the right club, you use it. What makes you think a 13 can't putt? I'd love to hear this. Let's spice this up a little bit.
We'll have to also go see if that was if he was able to go get fit.
Yeah,
I'm really just emotionally sharing my trauma from this weekend. I took a blade. It was bad. So I'm just sharing with you all this evening.
Who was it with the blade choice?
Imson.
Oh, Monsoon. Okay, yeah. I think he putts well with it. That's my prediction. The guys who listen, the mid handicaps who putt with blades are the guys you got to watch out for, especially the ones whose putters have more dents than you'd ever imagine on a putter, because those are the guys, man. There's something about it. Their driver might be off the planet, which that's not a great thing, but they probably can putt. I might be banking on that one.
So statistically, this is going to be very close, and you're going to see some very close match odds when we get there. I would say that Imson is going to need to putt in a couple matches, and we'll get there when we get to the lines. But from a combined handicap standpoint, it's almost even, and I think that this probably goes all the way to the end. So let's just start talking about the Masters and previewing the matches. I'll give you the line because this is what's going to be posted in the sportsbook. Sportsbook's open for this one, so go ahead and let's. I know that some of you are waiting to get paid off on on Bag Boy before you're able to bet on this one. I've been told that those bets are going to be paid off pretty quickly, so you can run back to the window like the true degenerates that I hope that you are and bet.
You talking into J. Lou's soul right now?
Yeah, well, I mean, look, he's got this one sort of wrapped in a couple of different manners. And so let's just see if it works out for him, right? Like he's got it like sort of scattered, covered, chunked, and topped. Like there's a lot that needs to happen, but if it goes down the right way, he's going to be laughing at us because he's going to have a ton of coins. This is match one. Josh and Wildcat, who Wildcat played for Team Blake last year. So just take that for what it is. He goes out with Josh, so you get a low mid against the mid pairing of Blake and Shane. I make Josh and Wildcat a slight favorite here, plus 180. Remember, you have to lay 1.8 coins to win one on Team JB in this match. If you go with Team Blake, 1 coin gets you 1.55 coins. Very simple math. All you have to do is move the decimal point over 2 and you know exactly what you're doing. Dan, I'll start with you. Thoughts on this match?
That's the easiest choice ever. It's not enough. Listen, it's the perfect pairing. It's the perfect pairing. Wild card and the people's elbow are going to be dominant. It's unbelievable. And listen, I'm a Shen Iwu kind of guy. But I don't think it's enough.
So you don't think that I made the line high enough? Is what you're saying?
Not at all.
Okay, so
listen, you
like Josh,
that guy, and they're like chill in the cart. There's no way. It's a buzzsaw waiting to happen.
Look, look, everyone's gonna go right now. If they're not already, they're in the sports book hammering this bet because Dan was like, "Oh, it's not enough. You're getting great line value, Scooby." What are your thoughts on this one?
I think that's underselling the passion that Blake brings to this competition. Dude is a gamer, and he's not going to roll over. He will not roll over to that pair.
Yeah, I mean, Josh, an obvious favorite, and I may have already bet this match. So I'm just gonna look.
What did you bet?
I mean, I like Josh. I like Josh. I like Josh a lot. I like when Josh catches someone with him. Josh can hit shots when he absolutely has to, and he's catching a golfer. I didn't know about this. He plays a lot better. He's sort of like, I guess Wildcat's like me as a bowler. Like, dude, like at first I'm not a great bowler, but once I get that third beer in me, things start happening. I like that local intel that you had on Wildcat, and it backs up that
I saw it in the most painful way possible. And listen, you don't want to be a part of it. You got to make sure that he's got 1 or 2 in the cart ready to go. And again, I think I love the feedback from Blake and Shaniwu, but I don't know, man. It's just such a good pairing.
The second Shamble match, it's a sort of a flip side of the coin, right? In match 1, Josh goes out with a mid-low pairing against a mid-mid, and now he counters back with a mid-mid of his own against Mike and Imson, a low mid. It's almost the same line. Actually, it is the same line. Team Blake here is minus 180. The comeback on Team JB is plus 155. Scooby, this time I'll start with you on the thoughts.
Sure. Thing that I like this is John D. We've seen it in the threads if you've been following along. He's been grinding on the short game. So if John Sins can get him out, get him in the fairway, at that 14.7 being the one getting the most strokes here, that short game pays off. I think this could be a good barking dog pick.
Dan?
I don't know, man. Joe from Notre Dame and Johnson Va, they look pretty strong. Listen, they're interesting dudes on the forum. They're fun to follow, but you got to follow the numbers every once in a while, right? You got to wonder. I'm coming back on this conversation. Like a 2.8 has tons of potential in a place like Ballyhack. It's a scorer's golf course if you're playing well. And if Monsoon can put them in the right places at the right times, you never know, dude. This could be a really balanced matchup.
I think that if either of those dogs don't cover the first, that one of those, like if one of those dogs win one of the first two matches, it's gonna be troubling for whoever lost that match. The two favorites absolutely need to hold chalk on those first two matches, and then we get sort of this 9-hole sprint to the finish. Now, the alt shot match with Josh and John D, mid plus 160. Team Blake, I made the favorite here with Mike and Shane at minus 190. Did I make this line high enough, Dan?
I don't know. I just can't believe I'm messing with you with these names yet. It's killing me.
Right. We'll get to some other. Look, I'm just cruising right through it here. Just.
I'm gonna pass on this one. I don't know.
Okay, Scoob. What do you think?
I mean, you love seeing the low cap, right, in alt shot. Mm-hmm. But you know that JB, knowing the course, is going to be able to carry his partner around. I think this one's going to be close. I think it's closer than what the line's saying right now.
Josh and John are going to get pops here in this match, and that is always deadly. If Josh gets them, I do think Team Blake needs this match though. Like they need Mike to carry the water a little bit here, because I like Josh. Team JB a lot in this match right here.
Wow, we didn't get today. We didn't get the experience of what. We didn't get the experience of what JB's second 9 looks like with that elbow going. So, is this a conversation for resilience or persistence over anything else right now? Do we know? Can we assume?
I don't want to assume anything, but I think that if you look at, I think that a lot of this has to do with how he plays tomorrow. But I'm making an assumption that Josh is going to be able to gut it. So are you not?
I don't know. I was really looking forward to seeing what this afternoon would hold.
Well, look,
but the other thing is it's every other shot. So it's really not as bad.
No, and he can get by. Like he got by today, and Dean told us earlier that look, when he didn't absolutely have to make a swing, he went straight into power save mode. This is not anything that's abnormal. So yeah, I mean, Josh is a consummate gamer.
I was gonna say that's the other piece of it is he's stubborn, and don't ever give a stubborn dog a bone when you don't need to, right? Like that's big. Interesting.
So, I wish that I would have bet more on First and Fun because Josh is a consummate gamer. But this is going to be a lot of golf, so you do bring up a really good point. And I was going to bring that up when we got to a singles match because by then it's going to be a lot of holes over the course of 6 days, more than likely. So this is the last of the alternate shot matches. Wildcat goes out with Johnson. Again, you catch a low mid against a mid. The mid here is going to catch pops to him. It's minus 190 though. I like Wildcat. Obviously, as you can tell, I've liked Wildcat in like every match So,
what do you know that you're not telling the people betting? Like, what's going on here? What do you know?
Well,
What's the story here?
So I get a lot of people giving me like backgrounds when they've played with somebody, right? Like, by the way, I played with so and so. This is kind of what you need to be looking at, or maybe you should mention this on the show or whatever. And usually it's like really good. Hey, this guy is a great putter. Sometimes it's not as good, and so I'm gonna not say anything about those times to protect the innocent. I got a phenomenal scouting report on Wildcat as I was preparing the write-up from several different people, members of the THP universe, and then all of a sudden when I started making the line, I'm like, yeah, minus 190. Wait till we get to a singles line. You're going to see this reoccurring theme.
Okay.
As we go through it. What are your thoughts on this match? Do you love them as much as I do here?
Yeah, I mean, the Wildcard and Johnson Vaugh have a good opportunity here to take advantage of a couple extra skill points at the cost of a couple pops. But, I mean, you know the way all shot goes. A couple pops here and there don't mean anything if you're in your pocket 2 or 3 holes in a 9-hole match. So, yeah, I mean, I obviously I'm all in on the wild card. So my thoughts here is he'll be in absolute cruise control at this point of the day. And, yeah, it'll be easy money.
So if chalk holds... And that never happens, right? But
it's asking a lot.
It's asking a lot. If chalk holds, we should have a tied event by the time we get to singles. Okay? And so it's going to make all these singles matches all more important. And we'll start off here, the captain's match. Josh, haven't played a ton of holes here. I still send him off as the favorite against Blake. Minus 165. He knows the course better than anybody. He's the consummate gamer. If he told me that he made me really nervous because he only chipped like 3 chips yesterday. Okay. And then went straight to power save mode. Told me that he was going to gut it out. I think that as he gets maybe it gets a little bit better. I'm hopeful of that. And by the time he gets here in the Quest Cup, the injury is not that as big of a deal. And if it's not, then I like Josh in this match.
Well, I mean, he gives up a couple, right? And
course. I don't have the course adjusted.
And we've already heard a little bit of that stubborn perspective about Blake and what the event means to him. So, I mean, is there a level of urgency that exists from either guys to close this out and or close it out early? Maybe that's the bigger story. If it goes early, is it Josh's to win? And if it goes or JB's to win? And if it's late, is Blake the kind of guy that's just going to hang on and chip away, eventually take that win?
Josh has had some trouble in singles on day 2. In a lot of these team events where it just felt like he ran out of gas a little bit. This may be an awful ask, and I absolutely may have the wrong person favored here just by bias. I'll admit it.
Well, at least you're honest.
I'm a big Josh fan, so this may be some really good line value because I'm giving you a discount on Blake, and you don't even know if. Okay, well, yeah. I mean,
Craig in the chat says Blake won't give up, so we've got inside knowledge there. Yeah, who knows? I love this toss-up. It's a good match. Really fun.
My Wildcat love continues in match 2 of singles. He's going to lay a lot of... Look, he's going to lay about almost 10, maybe a course just at 11. But look, if chalk holds up, I'm predicting him to go 3-0 here.
Okay.
And I'm gonna shove my coins in on him. So I may be felted at the end of this because there's so many bets on the sports book, right? We don't even need props because we can bet all the matches. We can bet the winner. We can bet all the matches. This is gonna be super fun to bet for us. I make Wildcat minus 200. The comeback on M-Sun. Yeah, you're not gonna get him cheap. You're going to pay 2 to win 1 here on Wildcat.
Interesting.
Come back on M-Sun plus 161 pays 1.6. Dan, what are your thoughts here?
I think that's a lot to give up in the sports book, but yeah, I feel good about my guy here. Listen, the wild card against the monsoon, I think we know that that's a big number to trade on the scorecard, but I don't know, man. I think there's enough balance there in that game to really ride it out and get that win.
I just caught a comment in the side on the side eye, which is probably absolutely true from Kentucky golfer. So here we go. John D. Shane. There's virtually no pops. This could be the match that kind of decides the Quest Cup, to be honest with you. Like if you get
Real
here,
balanced.
Yeah, right. It's minus 110 a piece. I don't know if you're gonna have to pay full vig. Lord Tox is probably gonna pay this off at even money. What are your thoughts here? Because I couldn't really pick a winner based on the posting, based on where their game's at, based on their gear selection, and it's been a while for John since we've seen him. This could be the decisive match of the whole thing, though. Dan, what are your thoughts here?
You think so? Well, I'm waiting for Joe from Notre Dame to post in the chat again over there on YouTube, who's watching live. I haven't seen my social media boy, Shan Iwu, in the chat yet, so I almost feel like you're obligated to pick the guy who's present because it clearly means more to them. You know what I mean?
Look, this is the one. I'll be interested to see what the overall handle on the THP universe that the sportsbook is on this one. I'll be very interested to see which way different people decided to go.
Let me ask you a question on this because, and I know you're kind of swinging through it right now, but this is one of those picks right here where are you getting a really good pick out of either one of them by going for it? Like I like the minus 110s on both. I'd almost feel like if you hooked John D up with a plus there, it might be a little bit of a different story. But it's clear that your perspective is it could go either way.
I do think this match could go either way. And I'm going to be very interested to see how many people lay off this match. Like when we go through all of the matches, I'm going to get some of the data that says, okay, this match was, well, look, the Wildcat match is obviously at this point going to be hammered but because everyone's like, yeah, he loves him. So let's see how that goes. But I'm going to be very...
We did just get a little feedback that Shane's watching with the Wildcat. So maybe this is our first tie of the event. Can we do it?
Look, man, yeah, okay. I wouldn't be surprised if this match was halved.
All right, there you go. Heard it from Dax first, folks.
Not me. The first person to call a half this entire year is me and not Dan. Go figure. Last match, Johnson, Mike. Mike's a rookie. Look, this is just purely going off the number here. He's gonna lay somewhere in the neighborhood of 9, course adjusted, more than likely. You're gonna have to pay for him too. Minus 200. The comeback on Johnson is plus 160. Dan, do you have any thoughts? We don't have a whole lot on Mike, so.
I mean, you're betting into the handicap on this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
basically,
the story. And hindsight will be exactly what it is come day 2 of this event when we get to see what Johnson can do on day 1. But I don't know, man. I don't think an 11.5 is too unfavorable, especially with pops. I mean, that's the kind of guy who can get around and have good days and bad. So I think the story here is good day for Johnson is a win in his card. An unusual day. I think Mike goes out there and, based on that handicap, just plays standard golf and potentially wins.
So let's move on to final thoughts before we cut the THP universe loose. Scooby apologizes his internet just dropped at his house. Told him not to worry about it because we were about to be done with the show. I do have his pick that he sent me via text. So I'll give his pick first. Scooby's is going with Team JB. That's not surprising for Scooby to do that, but that's who he likes. That's who he is betting at minus 150. What about you, Dan?
Team to win it?
Yeah, team to win.
Dude, I don't know. I mean, listen, I've got all in on one guy here. Mm-hmm. Absolutely all in. The level of course knowledge and stubbornness from JB, I feel like I'd be crazy to say everything that I've said and not assume the win on that side of the fence.
So you're picking Team JB, right?
I think it's fair to say it's
Okay.
going to be a close match, but
Okay.
I can see that happening. What about
So,
you, buddy?
so Josh has never. Yeah, I mean, it looks like that we're going to have our first consensus. Look, Josh hasn't lost one of these. He's 2-0 in these events. I mean, I loved Wildcat in every one of those matches. I have him winning 3 points. Like, so then,
you're saying
hold on.
Team Blake is a lock.
Right. So I loved, if I liked Wildcat in all 3 of the matches that he was in, then that's 3 points. I only need 1 more to win the bet because 4 retains for Team JB, right? So we're going to grind out a point somewhere else. So give me Team JB also to win. But this is going to be a super fun one to follow along. I think that it will be close. It's going to be close. If chalk holds, this is within a point. Okay, so you're probably looking at somewhere like 4.5 to 3.5. I wouldn't be surprised if Team Blake is a live dog and sort of shocks the world like Team Brennan did at the GOAT Cup. And then at that point, I'm going to have to ask for either coins on loan or how do I reload? So, because I'm going all in on this one, right?
You can borrow some of mine, buddy.
Okay, well, I mean, I don't even know if we have figured out how to transfer coins.
I don't think we will.
Okay, so I appreciate everyone following along. Remember, we got a back-to-back really good follows. So y'all, clock in on the forum. Let's hear what you have to say. Am I right or am I wrong? Did I make the line wrong at some of these places? Hey, look, tag me. Let me know. Not as much as M Ward. That's annoying, but tag me and say, hey, I don't like this line. I'm gonna fade JDax here. Dan, any final thoughts before I cut them loose?
Everyone wants to know your thoughts on what Lord Dox would do on this one.
Lord Tox?
No, Lord Dox.
I didn't say Dox. I said Tox.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure talking with you tonight. Enjoy the final day of the Bag Boy Championship, and I cannot wait to follow along on the forum with you guys for the Quest Cup. It's always so fun to follow along with Ballyhack. The pictures are always insane. The food looks unbelievable this time around as well. So we've been so lucky to enjoy these events through there and the wildness that goes on when you have to start actually playing golf around a full belly. So yeah, that's fun, and I'll see you guys on the forum.
Take it easy, you golfing legends.
Don't steal my thunder, dude.